Sailors and pirates and scalawags we, in the dark Caribbean, on a roiling sea. Our health is low and the danger's high. There's so many ways to die. There's 5 in the crew, what are we to do? We've been blinded by a bilge rat, crunched by a croc, drowned in the droppings of a seagull flock, stung by the jellyfish hung from a rail, battered by a barnacled humpback whale, stabbed in the groin with a rusty pitchfork, keel-hauled under a Spanish man-o'-war. Our health is low and the danger's high. There's so many ways to die. There's only 4 left on this bloody poop deck. We've been obliterated by an obscure oyster cult, mashed by a marrow mortar, quite an insult, electrocuted by an eldritch eel, an ancient elder our souls did steal, livers all black from years of rum. I just found out where scurvy comes from. Our health is low and the danger's high. There's so many ways to die. We're down to 3 on this forsaken sea. We've been bitten on the back by a banded sea crate, drawn and quartered by an angry sea wraith, shot in the gut with a cannonball, carried off whole by a carrion crow. Our lungs all filled with wet consumption, shocked by a shoggoth. Now isn't that something? Our health is low and the danger's high. There's so many ways to die. It's just us 2, we are so doomed. We've been gnawed on by a necro swine, pickled in a barrel of bile and brine, garroted by a gorilla crab, smashed so flat by a coral slab, burning under the sun in a gibbet cage, feeling the wrath of a mermaid's rage. Our health is low and the danger's high. There's so many ways to die. Now it's just me, it's time to flee. But I've been chomped in half by a fossil shark, chained in the well of eternal dark, stoned to death by a mad Jamaican, got heart disease from too much bacon, swung from a noose which did not slacken, gored by the beak of a love-crazed kraken. My health is low and the danger's high. There's so many ways to die. Well, you could complain that life's not fair, but the angry sea, it just don't care. My health is gone and the end is nigh. In the dark Caribbean, so many ways to die. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. When I was but a wee boy, my father said to me, "Son, for generations we've sailed upon the sea, but danger's out there lurking to send you to the grave. So learn your ABCs, lad, perhaps your life you'll save. Now sea monsters they come in many shapes and sizes. Let's review them all now so there be no surprises. A is for albatross, hung around your neck. B is for bilge rat on a briny shipwreck. C is for Charybdis, hiding under a rock. D is for deep ones, in the great abyss they stalk. E's for ancient elder, who'll try to steal your soul. F is for a fossil shark, who'll try to eat you whole. G is for giant squid with tentacles of steel. H is for hydra with many heads that kill. Some monsters be above ya, some monsters be below, but the monsters that'll get ya are the monsters you should know. I is for infernal pelican, who's got a massive beak. J is for jellyfish, whose sting will make you weak. K
Hiya, Scully. Yar, Stinkosaurus.
Oh, Rick!
Hardy, ar, ar, ar.
Check, 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 check. Hardness, okay, here we go. Check, 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 check. There it goes. Alright, this macro's here. Had the wrong microphone. Haven't used this one in a while. Okay, let's clean this up. Alright, don't need this one. There we go. Yes. There we go. Alright, that needs to be a little bit. Need to autofocus that. Anyway, we're going to do some painting tonight. And let me go autofocus that, and then we can start. Okay. So we printed Sir Raton yesterday, and I primed him outside. So let's see. All right, here's my little monitoring guy here. Turn this down. Okay, this needs to get focused a little bit. All right, this macro's here. The voice is rather quiet. Let me turn that up. Well, we're using a new setup today. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Hello, hello. Is that better? Sounds okay. All right, now, is it focused or not? Doesn't look too bad. Okay. Does that chest piece look like it's in focus enough? Turn the volume down on this one here. All right. Okay. Gonna try something new here. Can you see me? All right. All right. Well, we're trying something new here. It's about 10-second delay between.
Hello. Is that better? Sounds okay.
There's actually about a 20-second delay. Okay, so we'll see if that is better. I'm going to probably need some finger cuts, so I'll put this over here. Got my white paint. I need some water in here. All right, looks like you can see me on there. That's good. I'm a little far away. There we go. All right, there's that. Let me see if I can make the studio camera higher resolution or not. All right, back back into the control room. All right. Main room. Yeah. Doesn't look like I can for now. All right, well, let's turn this off. Well, you can see the top of my head while I paint. To reset that, zoom in on the camera. All right, let's see here. There's that. And this. There we go. Set my monitors up here. Okay, so let's see what we got here now. Okay, so hello webcam. I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. So there's the torso piece right there. It printed weird, like it printed this top part solid for some reason. I said, it's no big deal. I just ended up drilling that out so that the ball joint for his head. So there's like, his head will be mounted to the ball joint and then it can move it back and forth. So I'll put this over here so I don't lose it. And then here is, it's this tail hole, so I know it fits like this. And I ended up, I did a 3% minimization of that cylinder, because in the past if I didn't, it was like super tight because the 3D printing tolerances, and that ended up fitting pretty nice. It's actually pretty nice and tight. Okay, there's that, back into forth there. Okay, I'm gonna go check on something real quick here. Always something to check on. Okay. See what we got over here. All right, that's working. Okay, that one's working. Okay. Now, so we piece fit that. I also drilled out his eye cavity here and here for when we install the LEDs. That's one of the last things I'll do. So those will go down in there, and the wire will run out the back of his head. So I have to get the wire from here to here. Then I'm going to go ahead and paint his jaw. I'll worry about sanding it later, but that's basically kind of what it looks like with his jaw there. And then this is his blade right here. It's got a little little divot there, a little hole for, put a little skewer in there, something like that, so he can hold that. He's not really going to be moving it, he's just going to hold it like that. Okay, so we'll paint that tonight. And trying to see, do I have any, well, see what I have any color references for him. I do have that concept artwork, but a lot of times Pascal just uses. All right, go just get that off the. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty much earth tones. Let's see here.
So we'll paint that tonight.
So, I mean, he really just, the only thing that we need to color is really his nose and maybe the back of his head, depending on how far back that mask is going to go. Okay. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is dry brush. I primed these a couple hours ago with some what is that? A flat gray primer Rust-Oleum. Okay. I think you should angle the camera to the left a little. All right. When she says left, what does left mean? Like that. All right. Let me know if that's better. Okay. Technical director Denny there. Okay. So, and this is something I learned from the Warhammer YouTube channel, Instagram guys. This zenithal painting technique, which I don't necessarily follow it religiously, but I think it's pretty cool because with the speed paints are pretty transparent. Most acrylic paints are fairly opaque, but the speed paints are transparent, so you can kind of see the texture underneath when you dry brush texture. It's actually very similar to when you're texturing computer graphics stuff, which is kind of fun. All right. Watch my fingers turn purple because these finger cuts are too tight. Okay, so we'll use this one here. Okay. All right. So, use these makeup brushes. Got kind of short bristles. And there's not much. Somebody had this little idea of making this little raft with like toothpicks so that you can kind of take some of the white off the brush while you're dry brushing. So we'll see. There's not really a whole lot of texture we're popping here. We're just going to kind of make it look a little interesting. Okay. Just so it's not solid color. Make Mr. Raton look like he's been in a battle or two with his leather armor. Okay. So, not dry brushing really all that dry, but it's kind of interesting how the speed paints will pull the texture out or let the texture go through. And, you know, we're just telling dad jokes, so it doesn't have to be the most amazing paint job in the world. It's just something fun. And I like to learn new things, so the whole speed brush, dry brush, airbrush has been fun. You know, I was a kid in the 80s, and I didn't really have like a mentor. When I painted models and used the tester paint, and you know, I heard about airbrushing, but I mean, this would have been about 1982, 83. I'm sure airbrushes were technically very good, but you know, I was a kid. I didn't have money to buy a compressor and an airbrush and all that kind of stuff, so I mainly just brush painted. Was not all that good at it, but I had a good time. Listened to my Men at Work album and my Rick Springfield and my, let's see, what other albums did I have? I think I had Alan Parsons and trying to remember what stuff I remember. I definitely remember the Men at Work album when I was, must have been 81 or 82. I'm not going to put too much effort in the back. Nobody sees the back of these puppets, so. I would listen to the radio too. When I remember listening to the radio is when I would play video games on my Apple II Plus 48K computer. I'd played a lot of Wizardry, a lot of Zork, and the radio station in Kansas City would just play the same 10 songs every hour. So a lot of Michael Jackson, a lot of, I don't know what else is in that time. It's just a lot of songs from 82 or 83. All right, well, that's not going to take too much time to dry, but so at least it's got some texture. All right, so that's his torso. And we'll set it to the side. I don't really have much room. I need to make a new desk. Okay, this is his, kind of his loincloth where his legs attach. His pelvis. And just add some texture. Again, I've been very fortunate to get, to meet some excellent painters on Instagram. Met Ryan James down in Australia and met Florian Leidendecker from Germany and Andy Green from England and Luke Merlini from Canada. And those guys are amazing painters. I am not an amazing painter. I am just going to paint this, and then we're going to shoot it and have some dad jokes. So he's going to have kind of a fun tail. Got a cloth thread-covered wire from the local hobby shop that I used for some tentacles on another puppet. And I was like, oh, that should work for his tail. You know, art is arbitrary. I'm just really making the texture lines go down. There's not really, I didn't put a lot of texture when I modeled it because I didn't really need it. Sometimes you'll put some texture in the model when it gets printed. So there's his torso right there. All right, and we'll put it over here, out of the way, on top of the toothpicks. All right, the bottom of his rat mouth. Okay. And that's pretty much going to be solid. You're not going to see this, but we'll dry brush it anyway. Okay. And I shot the 10 establishing shots of the castle today, and I think it turned out pretty good. I'm just really excited about it. I ended up spray painting, much to technical director Jenny's chagrin, spray painting kind of splotchy that white melamine that I got from Lowe's, and it actually ended up turning not too bad. And some of the hot spot reflections from the light actually ended up looking kind of like the sun coming through, so there was some fortunate things that happened. It turned out pretty well. I did about half the shots without fog machine, and then I did the other half with fog machine. And, you know, stop motion with fog is always kind of a little iffy, but I think it turned out okay. All right, so there's this little mouth there, and that won't take too much time to dry. Then let's do his blade here, and I'll just kind of go in this general direction. There's that. I'm trying to think what other albums I had when I was a kid. I had some 45s, but I remember just putting that Minute Work album on and paint my German tanks or my American airplanes. So I don't paint box models anymore, but I make a lot of models. And I always like dioramas, and basically I'm making sets now. I've got an entire basement full of sets, including an 8-foot pirate ship. Okay. So just dry brushing it on here. It's just, there's no real texture that I'm bringing out. I'm kind of just creating my own texture because the model doesn't have much texture. Not going to really see that side anyway. He kind of holds it like this. Guess he might hold it like that, depending on what's he doing. We might make that bronze. Okay, there's his blade right there. All right, now his Sir Raton head. Now so this is supposed to be his actual fur, so I might splotch that on. The thing about the camera is it's got such a shallow depth of field is with these long-nosed creatures, like when I was dealing with the dragons, their noses were always out of focus. Okay, there's that. Now his actual nose is probably going to be more solid-y. So there's that. We'll probably end up brushing that one. Okay, and then his ears are also kind of splotchy, so we'll just splotch those on. Again, may or may not be in focus, but we'll do what we can. There's probably some pink inside his ears. Okay. Make the inside of the ears a little bit more solid. Kind of splotch up here where it's supposed to be fur. Won't really see the back of his head. Okay, now that's where the LEDs are going. These are going to end up getting hand painted here, but I'll put some solid white on it. Alright, I do need to get a little bit more of this Anita's all-purpose acrylic paint. Doesn't take much to dry brush it. Okay. I'll put that over there. Now this is going to be a little bit more solid, his face mask. So I'm going to paint it a little bit more heavier. Doesn't take a whole lot of paint. But I do want it to look kind of solid. And then I think we were going to like maybe put like a little piece of fabric or something for his little droopy ear flaps, which are also going to cover his cover some of his mechanism. Okay. Now this is all skin fur down here, so that's gonna end up getting covered, but splotch it. And this is, I guess the mask is coming back over here. Okay, aren't gonna really see much of this on screen, but we'll go ahead and paint it anyway. I guess that'll be splotchy there. Okay, and I do need to put a little bit inside here, even though it's going to be kind of dark in there. Okay. Now this is going to be LED around here. It's going to end up blowing out the camera, so, or blowing out that area. So a lot of this right here, we're not going to be able to see because the LED is going to be so bright. Okay, well, Mr. Raton, Sir Raton, who has rat-like features and also maybe some dog-like features, maybe some opossum-like features. He wasn't really sure about who his parents were before he joined up with whatever troop. I don't know. I don't know what Sir Raton's backstory is. But okay, we'll let that dry. Now, put that over here. All right, one of the kids messaged me. Let me see what they got going on here. Okay, kids, what are kids doing here? Pictures of dinner. That looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to start airbrushing here. Get my monitor up there. Okay. Here I am back there. All right. I don't know if you can see much of my head there, but I figured it would be something fun to have a different camera angle as well. Now, I'm going to wash this brush off here. Then we'll start airbrushing. I'm going to figure out what colors we're going to do here. I mean, basically, let's see here. This should be good enough. Okay, so I use a Ultra brand from Harder and Steenbeck, which was purchased off of everybody's favorite online store. I use a TimberTech. Somebody had recommended this. It's what does it say? AS18S, 125 watt flow, 20 to 23 L's per minute. And I usually set it around 25 to 30 psi? It's closer to 35. So I definitely found that the quality of the just the overall experience is highly dependent on your air pressure, and I definitely learned that on the YouTube. I always the main thing about airbrushes is keeping everything clean. At the beginning, it's like I couldn't even get it to work. I was like, what's going on? And finally, it just ended up working and clicking. And I keep Q-tips close. There's some Q-tips up there. And just got to keep the chunks out of everything. If you're new to airbrushing, got to keep the trash can close. All right, so there's the trash can. I mean, basically, you've got the needle here. Always got to keep the needle clean. And then you've got kind of these parts. I don't know the technical names. I'm an engineer, but you'd think I would look them up. I think one's called the nipple. This may be the nipple. Bloop. This is like the most important part to keep clean. And you get any little bits in there, and you're just going to clean the thing. And it's not the end of the world. It's one of those things where kind of like the T-Rexo, the Trexo. When it works, it's cool. When it doesn't work, it can be frustrating. Okay, so airbrush ready to go. And now we got to pick what colors we're going to do. This is basically going to be a solid. I mean, this basically is loincloth. So whatever we choose for the loincloth, that's going to be the same pretty much for this. So this is really just going to be solid color. I could maybe add a little bit of highlights just to make it interesting for the cowl, or make the cowl a different color, complementary color. Let me see what was in that reference picture. It's really just earth tones. So we might make the cowl and the mask a similar color, and then make the fur one color, and then make the, looks like his, usually I try to match the clay color, but I didn't pick out a clay color, so it'll be some kind of gray. Okay, so let's pick out, so we got a whole slew of, you know, speed paints. They've got a lot of colors. Of some colors, there's other colors they don't have a whole lot of. Like they have some whites, but the whites just aren't white. The whites are just gray. So I never really understood that. So when I need a white, I usually just use acrylic. Well, here's hardened leather. That might be a good one. So I got this handy dandy little paint shaker over here. He's just a tiny little paint shaker. He's going to shake the paint. Oh, I may need to plug him in. Hold on for a second. I got to plug the paint shaker in. I didn't think that far ahead. All right, so paint shaker, plug in. And because it's the least expensive paint shaker on Amazon, you kind of have to help it along to get it started. There's all the paints. I don't know if you can see that there. There's the paints there. It's like one of the collections, and then supplemented it with some stuff. All right, so we're kind of back where we were ish. Oh, there we go. I need to get a new chair. I broke this chair. This is like the kids' chairs from 20 years ago. All right, so we were going to use, oh, we were paint shaking. Okay. Come on, paint shaker. There it goes. Shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake. Shake your paint bottle. Shake your paint bottle. All right. Just need to be able to hear that little BB go back and forth. All right, so that's hardened leather. And then might make something like that's more orangey for his his cowl and his mask. There's Fire Drake, which is brownish orange. That might be kind of interesting. Okay. I might need to move this over a little bit. There we go. Maybe that's better. There's like a minute delay on the feed versus my monitor. Okay, so Fire Drake might be interesting. We'll shake him up. Okay. Shake, shake, shake. Shake your paint. Okay, that sounds shaky. All right, so we'll put him to the side. My thumb is starting to die, so I'll get a... Where did my... Oh, there's my trash can. I went through every size of finger cut that Amazon has, trying to get a comfortable finger cut. I don't like to wear gloves when I'm doing this stuff. I like to have a little bit of fine motor control. Okay. Now, let's see here. I'm probably going to have to turn the fan on for a little bit. Okay, so probably just going to grab them like that. This thing is quite filthy. Add a little texture. Okay, so I'm going to turn the fan on for a little bit, and then you can watch my work. All right, yeah, I turned the sound off because all you were going to hear was the fan. Now you can hear the compressor. It'll shut off here in a second. All right, so I follow the rules of airbrushing, which is, you know, thin layers of paint. I don't paint all the time, so my touch isn't spectacular, but I have read where you're supposed to push down on the trigger. I need to clean this out. So you push down on the trigger and then pull the needle back. Probably should have the fan on for this. All right, so I'm just cleaning this out. I will need to, even though I'm going to use the same color, I just am in the habit of keeping it clean because it will get gooey. I think part of the problem is we are at 6,500 feet above sea level here, and it's very dry. I think things tend to dry out a little bit faster than down at sea level, where the humidity might be higher. All right, so I'm just gonna check this here. Just clean the bits. Frankly, it takes a little bit of time to clean the bits between colors or between objects, but frankly, I don't know if that's black or if the chrome came off. It's just frankly easier just to keep things clean. And just keep water going through it. Because you can, if it mucks up, then it just. I do have ultrasonic cleaner that I use sometimes when I'm cleaning off my resin parts. But, you know, it's easier just to keep things clean. The brush is fairly forgiving if you keep kind of the parts clean and stuff and you keep water in it. I just kind of found a certain rhythm to using the brush, and kind of as long as the paint isn't sitting in there. All right, so there's his pelvis or torso there. And I have a little drying rack that's of questionable use, but you know, I'll use it. There it is. Got a part sitting on the drying rack. Okay, now we're gonna do his tunic top and his cowl. So I'll probably end up using that hardened leather for this lower part here, the tunic part, and then kind of come back and do the cowl. We'll see how much overlap I get. I could tape it off. I bought some airbrushing tape, and I don't have the expertise to use it. But we'll see. I might end up just like kind of hand painting in some fixes. All right, at some point I'm going to turn the fan off, and I'll go ahead and turn the microphone off, mute the microphone. this microphone is working. Check, check, check. But that's weird. Hello? Check, check, check. Okay. So it's coming through. Oh. Okay. It is true that this microphone is not working. I don't know why this microphone is not working. Check, 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 check. Oh. Hey, look. There's a mute button. Check, check, check. Check, 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 check. All right, well, if you press the mute button once, apparently that mutes it. Learning things all the time. All right, so I have to laugh. All right, well, that's why when you have a live stream, you minimize the amount of variables that you have. Okay, there you are, quiet, echo better. Yeah, I had the other microphone on as well. Okay, apparently there's a mute button. The thing about this mute button, though, is it doesn't tell you that it's muted. So it's like check, check, check. Check, check, check. Okay, back to work. You should be able to hear me now. All right, so we're going to get these things figured out before we get 10 people watching us. Right now we average between 3 and 5. All right. And it says we got 4 people. Learn something new every day. Yes, and sometimes I relearn the same thing. Okay, now, where were we doing? Okay, so we finished his torso. All right, we used the leather from hardened leather from Speed Paint from Army Painter, which I do love those guys. And then where's the place I can put that so it doesn't get dirty? Then we did his cowl and his tunic top. We had a couple of little errors here, but, you know, Bob Ross says those are happy accidents, so got some happy accidents. Had a big happy accident there, but that's going to be underneath his arm, so we're not going to see that happy accident much. Okay, now we were going to do his mask, and I may end up holding off painting his skin or fur because I need to go to the store and get some clay, and I want that clay to match this fur. So I may end up waiting until tomorrow to paint that so I can make sure it matches pretty well. I think, I don't know, most of that fur I think is probably going to end up being hand painted because I'm going to try to splotch it on a little bit. But we can do his cowl here, or his face mask. All right, so I'm going to just put a little water through here since we walked away. All right, we're doing good there. Okay, I'm going to turn the fan off for a second here. wasn't too bad. So I'm gonna end up hand painting this, probably a dark gray, but again, I want to see what the cloth is. This is all gonna end up getting covered with cloth. I mean, I could paint that, I guess. Just out of completeness, but there's going to be cloth here to try to cover up some of that. I guess I'll do the other side too. But yeah, the cloth, I'm hoping that cloth kind of comes down there. Okay. Actually, that's supposed to be gray. Alright, well, I can fix that real quick. Not that it really matters, but let's put a little primer or dry brush on it and cover that up. That's supposed to be gray. Not that you'll see it on camera, but there you go. That'll all be gray. Okay, so now we got his mouth. His mouth is going to be gray, and again, I'm going to wait on the gray stuff. So we'll finish up with the tip of his spear here. So the ears will end up being gray, snout gray, nose probably black. This is all going to be LED, so it's going to be blown out, but I'll paint it gray. This will be gray. That little part I messed up will be gray. I'll come back in and do some white teeth. So we'll see, maybe tomorrow. If I go get the clay tomorrow morning, then I'll finish that up tomorrow afternoon. All right, now let's just finish this. So yeah, so that'll all be gray to match the clay, and I'll have to sand that to get into his mouth. All right, let's use, do we want it to be bronzy? What else do I have? Again, art is arbitrary. I think I have another copper. I should probably put the lid on this. Okay, did I clean that up? Oh, forgot to clean that up. We need to clean that up. Okay. So you can get distracted and then just forget to clean things up. Okay, get you out of the way. Okay, just empty that. Yucky tip. Okay, see, it's all just dried and gunky in there, and you don't want that getting in down to the needle or into that cavity, or else it'll just be a mess. All right, so we watched Matt clean his airbrush for an hour and then watched him paint for 10 minutes. Okay. Okay, just check the needle. Sure there's nothing dried on the needle. Okay, looks okay. Just put one little bit more. All right, we'll just do bronze for the end of his blade. Look at my cat. Ooh. Cat was kind of a mess. Let me clean that out. All right. Sometimes the water doesn't get that stuff in the cavity. You gotta get in there and clean it out, or else you end up with muck going into the nozzle, and then you're in trouble. All right, let's try this here. Okay. Yeah, that's looking pretty well. Okay. Okay, so we got to shake our bronze on the shaker. See, this is a noisy process between the fan and the compressor and the shaker. Let's see, I think that was roughly down here. I don't have enough space in my... Okay, shaker, I guess start the shaker there. Shake it for a little bit, and we'll paint this guy here. Use a Bronze Age rat. So, got a couple people on tonight. Hello, everybody. Hope you're having a good time on Friday night. We've been airbrushing Sir Raton. So, just to recap, this is loincloth there. It's where his tail goes. That's where his legs will go there. We did his cowl and his tunic. So there's that. And a little bit extra paint there, a little bit extra there, a little bit extra there. Arm will cover that. It's just kind of Bob Ross happy accidents there. That's where the ball and socket go. Here's the ball and socket right here. So that's going to get epoxied into there, and then his head will be able to move back and forth. And then with regards to his head, and we've been using Army speed paint, we used Fire Drake on that orange, and we used leather, what was that called? That leather one, hardened leather for the tunic, and that was his face mask there. We're going to have little cloth bits come down here a little bit. On that side, there's part of messed up, so that's going to end up all being gray, but I have to go get some gray clay at the hobby store tomorrow, and then I can try to match that to the speed painter. All right, so we got some Talos bronze, freshly shaken. Okay, clean the top of the bottle off. Okay, put a bit in there. We don't need too much. Okay, I'll lay the fan off for this one. It's not going to be too long. Okay, try to paint in little passes so it kind of dries. See some of that texture coming through from the dry brush. Okay. Just put a couple of coats on. Press our fan back on. Now I might put some like blood stains, some brown or something on this. I'm gonna turn that fan on. So there's this little blade. Didn't take too long. So I mean, there's merits to hand brushing. It leaves It leaves stroke marks, which sometimes you want, sometimes you don't want. I'll put that over there, let that dry. And airbrushing is nice if you just want a nice, even, solid color. Maybe use sometimes I'll use acrylic, sometimes I'll use the speed paint. If it's a large surface area, then I love to airbrush on it. If it's a small surface area, I don't have the technical prowess to do, fine airbrushing with this airbrush, so I'll just hand paint it with a nice fine brush. All right, clean the brush out here. And get another Q-tip here, because we'll probably be hand brushing tomorrow, so I want to make sure this is nice and clean for the next time I use it. Okay, get in there. Put a little water in there. Okay. Then I got these little brushes here of all shapes and sizes. Just kind of get in there like a dental assistant. Just kind of clean that gunk out there like your once every year teeth cleaning. Okay. And then I got another Q-tip. We're almost done here, so get a little water on the Q-tip. Get kind of in there. Get that overspray in there. Okay. Gotta keep your tools clean. Okay. There's that. Run a little bit more water in it, then we'll check the nozzle. It's all fascinating, isn't it? Alright. Okay, there's that. Okay, tip looks pretty clean. Just kind of pull that out there. Check the nozzle. There's a little bit of light in there, so that should be good. And that's probably could use some ultrasonic cleaning. We'll run a little water through it and then we'll call it a night. Okay. Now if it starts to bubble, you know that there's some backup. So looks like we might have a bit of a backup there. Oh, some bit came flooding out there. Usually we'll run water through it until it's nice, and now we're getting some backup there. Something's stuck. Okay, so take a look at this again. Alright. We're almost there. Yeah, what'd you do on a Friday night? I watched this guy clean his airbrush. Right, there's a little bit in there. So what you can do is take this back off. Now you're supposed to push it through this way. So you can see there's a little bit of buildup on the needle. So I'm just going to clean that off. And it is on there, that's for sure. Okay, it's coming off. I'm going to pull the needle through. So if you bend the needle, you pretty much got to buy a new one. Okay, that looks okay. Put that through there. Get that through there. There it goes. Okay, I'm going to pull it back a little bit. And then put this back in, then push the needle forward. Okay, here we go. Okay, let's check that. Oh, put the cap back on so I don't bend the back end of the needle. There we go. Still a little bubbly. All right, I might end up having to put it in the ultrasonic cleaner. Try it one more time. Well, I might end up just ultrasonic cleaning that. All right, well, this goes in the trash can. We did some airbrushing tonight. And we got about 2/3 of the way, well, 2/3 of the way through the painting. Once the painting is done, then we have to do the arms. So we might do a session on clay arms. That'll be fun. All right, so we'll head over back to the control room. All right, here we go. So, put the picture on picture here. There it is right there. All right, so we painted Sir Raton tonight. We did the dry brushing in white, and we learned a little bit about that. And then we airbrushed with the hardened leather from Speed Paints, and then we did the Fire Drake, I think it was called, the orange. And then we did the bronze. So probably do a little bit more tomorrow once I get that clay. So have a good evening. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night, and thank you for watching.
Hey, Scully! Yar! Stinkosaurus!
Oh, right.
Arty, yar, yar, yar!